We grow lots of pretty flowers like irises and lupins and lilies. We also grow some garlic and lettuce, cabbage, broccoli, carrots, radishes, chives, lots of things. There's some chives right here.
The idea was to make a garden where kids can grow flowers and food and discover through hands-on learning, but also have a beautiful place.
It was a partnership with Julia, my colleague, and it was that we wanted to create a playground for the children that was going to be age appropriate for them. And we realized that structures have a limited use in terms of creative play.
And rather than putting in another climber, we decided to put in a garden. So we turned this quarter of a tennis court into a garden. Well, how we set it up was that each class has their own space. So this year, the grade 2-3s in the back bed decided they wanted to focus on medicinal plants.
So feverfew is really good for fevers. And yarrow you can rub on cuts and stuff. We also grow plantain, which you can put on bee stings.
The kindergartners in their bed this year, they have grown all root vegetables.
You would get a watering can and you try not to water the plants, like the leaves. Try to water like just the soil.
So every class has their own bed, and then we also have common beds, such as the flower beds.
My favorite thing is probably watching all the flowers bloom and smelling the flowers and picking them, because when I'm older I want to have a hobby, and it's going to be running a little flower shop.
Planting is where you have a seed or something, and then you dig a hole and you put the seed in and bury it, and then after a while it starts to grow.
In the garden we did two things with mushrooms. We planted oyster spawn in logs in the garden, and we also planted King Stropharia spawn in straw and in sawdust in the garden too. Then the students learn about the relationship between the mushrooms and the plants and how they help each other, and how the mushrooms give the plants and the vegetables more nutrients, and the mushrooms also have a benefit from living with the plants as well.
Some plants work together and grow better with others.
The lesson there was all about companion planting and rotating crops through the season. So we try and keep track of which class put what where each year so that we're rotating the plants. But there's also a certain wildness, as you can see, and anything goes a little bit here as well.
We don't do the compost, but the 4-5-6 do.
So all of the school's food waste and all of the Garlic Festival food waste is composted by Katrina's class, and then comes to either is dug directly into the garden or goes into our compost piles.
Well, the composting, usually how we use it, we would put compost in, put a layer of cardboard, and then put some more compost in, and then it would help the plants grow because there's two separate layers of compost.
And we use it for the garden beds, and we spread it all over the ground, and we sift it in. There's a special sifter there that's humongous, and then you just put it all in, and then you get all the worms in there. And
Worms help in the garden because, well, they poop of dirt, which helps the plants grow, because when they poop it out, it's moist, sort of. But we usually, in the garden, we find worms and centipedes and potato bugs. The bugs that pollinate are like butterflies and bees and ladybugs.
The greenhouse has been a great asset to our program.
We really enjoy getting up there and planting the seeds and watching them grow before we can see anything happening in the garden. And it's also a really incredible space in terms of how much food we are getting out of there for the foods class.
The Cafe Connections course is offered to the senior students of Lucerne, and we get to make lunches every Wednesday for the whole school, and they're based on local produce and how to work in a kitchen with others, and there's also an entrepreneur part to it.
Well, we called it Cafe Connections because we're trying to make a connection with students to our garden and greenhouse that we have to the table.
Well, we're growing some onions, some potatoes, and some garlic. I have planted some beans in the garden before.
Strawberries and tomatoes. Peas, and I got my first cucumber yesterday.
Squash, some greens like Swiss chard, carrots, beets.
Lettuce, like a lot of the stuff we get from the greenhouse, and tomatoes, a lot of tomatoes.
Our first 6 weeks of class, we're really just using some of that produce, drying it, canning, preserving. We made pickles, we made salsa with the tomatoes. We froze tomatoes for sauce that we were going to use later for things like our spaghetti lunch that we had.
There's a salad bar. Most of all the stuff on the salad bar is from our garden, but some is just from local gardens, so it's still coming from around here.
There's a whole bunch of different toppings that you can have, like seeds and tomatoes and cucumbers, and we also make our own salad dressings. So
it's 100% successful. Everybody normally will have a salad, and some people will just sign up to get the salad.
We're selling now a minimum of about 40 lunches a week out of a student population of 90-something. So with students and staff, we're pretty proud to be feeding half of the school every week. And to just have students that just eat salad bar is amazing to me.
I really like it because I don't really like some foods from the store as much as I like them when they're from my garden.
It's getting the kids to eat healthy foods that they never would eat at home. When the parents come and see the kids eating salad wraps with more salad inside, they can't believe it because their children aren't eating that at home, and breaking celery and broccoli right off the stem and just munching it down. And so that's a big part of my gratefulness for this place.
I like gardening because you plant stuff and then you get to eat it.
I think the other aspect of the greenhouse that I really like for the kids is if it's a rainy day, we have a place to go and still work outside. And so as a teacher, I find that really valuable. And that's one of our goals with the preschool program and the Strong Start program, is to spend time outside with the children. In the preschool program, we start outside no matter what, unless it's absolutely pouring rain. We're outside for at least an hour in the morning to an hour and a half.
Well, everybody's happier when they're outside, including me. And the connections that the kids are making between their environment and where they live and then in their garden.
They need to be moving their bodies, and they need to learn through touching and feeling and being immersed in nature. Since we've transitioned our program from starting outside, we've noticed a real difference for all the children, and particularly children who may have special needs, that for them it is really beneficial for them to have this outside time and to be able to be loud and move in big movements. And then when they come inside, it's like much easier for them to settle in.
And we've got a club after school, and it's called Green Thumbs, and we make a snack out of the things in our garden and make the garden better. And
Well, Green Thumbs was for the extra keeners, for the kids who weren't getting enough during school and wanted to come after school to a garden club. A lot of the garden beds get eaten up by the 250 plus people that come here for Harvest Festival, and we make big, huge vats of soup to serve the whole community. It's a great opportunity to get everyone helping out, putting the garden to bed, harvesting the food.
I like this part the best. We get to pull out all the old plants, and then we get to cover everything with straw and do weeding. It's the fun part.
And dancing and eating food together. That's a time when really the whole school community comes out, is at our Harvest Festival.
This garden gives so much back to everyone that comes here that it's kind of a passion of the community.
The growing and the processing of food is one of those basic self-sufficiency skills that many of us see as being lost through the years. And this garden and greenhouse and linking it with the food program is a way of bringing those self-sufficiency skills back to our young people.
What we're doing here is really important for children because we're saying to the children and to the community, we value our children's learning so much that we are creating a beautiful space with them and the community so we can all share in it together. It sends a good message out there that learning is about being a part of all aspects of our world. And in the garden, it's so true because it's like they're immersed in it, they're touching it, they're watering the plants, they're watching them grow, and then they're eating them and smelling them. And it's a really good message, I think, that shows that this is what learning is all about.